everyone, and welcome to the Chief Science Officer Zoom In on Science calls, where we learn about STEM professionals and their careers to understand the impact of their job in modern life. My name is CSO Chalet, and I'm a member of the International Leadership Council, and I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Lyle multiple times before, so I'm excited to host this call today. So Lyle, can you tell our participants a little bit about yourself and your work?
I absolutely can. Thank you. Great introduction. So do I pull up the slides to kick this off?
Yes, please.
Barksdale. This one's supposed to be about me, right? So the top is downtown San Diego, and the bottom is Arizona. Those two places I was raised. I moved between the two a couple times. And then I got pictures of all my kids. Starting for the first one on the left, that's Liam and his sister Riley. They're the two that are here in the house. And then the next one of Riley's pretty eyes, Liam again, and then my oldest, who's doing whatever he does these days, is a 17-year-old Chase. I did 8 years in the Army. After the Army, I became a contractor for DIA, and I was contracted for a long time until 2015 when I switched over to government. The majority of the time I was in logistics. I did a lot of deploying during that time. And then in 2015, I switched to doing strategic communications, which could mean I'm better at this than I am, but work in progress. So that's pretty much it for that slide. It's a lot shorter than 4 minutes, so I hope you guys have a lot of questions. Next one, going into DIA. I'm gonna kind of go quick over this because there's a lot. What I do, we'll start there, which is kind of the bottom left corner. You see the last time you guys came and visited DIA, which was awesome and well received all the way up their leadership, to a point where, and you guys remember they were there, people just kept coming in and making it go longer because this high-ranking individual in the building wanted to talk, or this person. So a lot of support for what Kelly and I kind of started with you guys coming to the DIA. So quick into DIA, so foreign military intelligence, defense, that's kind of our bread and butter. We gather and analyze all intelligence to show how strong, how capable, how fast any foreign military has, and what they're doing, so what the intent of any actions they do across the world. So it's a pretty big mission. We're global. We have 143 different countries we're in. At all the embassies, the senior military official in the country is a DIA body. All of the J2s, which is joint staff, and the two is thing that is security and intelligence, and it's an Army construct. So if you guys are familiar with COCOMs, the combatant commands, the big military commands that divide up the world. So there's one in Hawaii that covers all of Asia. There's one in Europe that's EUCOM. So the head security and intelligence person in each of those locations is also DIA, and most of the analysts in those locations. And we deploy. So wherever there's boots on the ground of military, we're there. So we are the military intelligence. So with that, there's a whole bunch of different careers, anything you can really think of. There's been everything from painters working at DIA back before computers to name it, bombs, missiles, bio, algorithms, anything you can think of, we're touching and playing with the science to make sure we can collect and analyze and provide the intelligence to protect our nation. Yeah. I guess next slide. I don't know what to do with this one, so I kind of copied the way Kelly did. I threw a whole bunch of pictures on it. So played football at Apollo High School on 47th and Olive Orangewood for those Arizona, Glendale area. Like I said, we deploy. So there's a picture at the top right. I went to Iraq. Then there's some dogs and kids and San Diego Chargers stuff. The bottom right's a newer one. That's Rob Riggle. You probably recognize him. So one of the things I do in my role is strategic outreach. It's one like the visit of you guys coming to the building, but I also run the speaker program, the director speaker program. So I try to get in cool people like Rob Riggle to come talk to our workforce Yeah. And time? Question?
That's awesome.
All right, Lyle. So thank you very much for telling us about your work and your life. Uh, it is evident that you are really passionate about empowering future leaders, and we appreciate what you've done to expose the CSOs to what the DIA does and give us those opportunities. So while we were learning about what you do, and while we wait for some CSOs to send their questions, we'll start with a question that I prepared, which is, what advice would you give to your 14-year-old self?
I don't know. So historically, I kind of, throughout my life, just kind of gone with the flow and kind of rode the river of wherever life's going to take me. And it's turned out pretty good, but I would have told myself maybe take a little bit of the chance out of that, kind of target what I want a little more. Maybe would have gotten some places sooner that I wanted to be. So, hey, 14-year-old me, pay attention more, because what I'm doing today will impact a lot more than I realize.
Awesome, thank you. That's some really good advice. So my next question is, what is your favorite part about what you do at the DIA?
Well, the Masterminds program. I really, really love doing the Masterminds program. It's that Rob Riggle picture I talked about, because it's a chance to give back to our agency, the people that work there, the people that sacrifice and do all these things that most of them we can't talk about. So they're out there grinding away, and it's a way to thank them. They get them to share an experience that they're not going to get anywhere else. You know, they get to meet Rob Riggle. How cool is that? You know, stuff like that. I don't know. I really like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Okay, so now we'll go to the chat for some more questions. When we visited the DIA, can you explain why we were unable to bring in our cell phones?
Yes, because there's it's a SCIF. It's a secret compartmented information facility. So there's a lot of top secret stuff going on in there, and people that are high speed with their cell phones can grab some of that stuff out of the air or take pictures of something that there is not supposed to leave the building, or that a different area. So no cell phones. Sorry.
That makes a lot of sense. And our next question is from CSO Macy in Arizona. And it is, what made you decide to join the DIA?
So back to that, like 14-year-old me just following that river of life. It's kind of a weird path. I got out of the Army and was like, I'm going home to San Diego and I don't care. So I just applied for a whole bunch of jobs in San Diego that I was not qualified for at all. And one of them called me and said, hey, you can't do this. I tried to be an intel analyst. Said, you have no experience at all, but you can come work for us, DIA contractor, doing logistics. So it was complete by chance. They had a hole, and I applied for a completely different job. They said, well, come out to Hawaii and do logistics. And I was like, all right.
Next question is from CSO Josh in Arizona. And it is, what path through high school and college should you take to be a part of the DIA?
All those STEM different skill sets, home up on those, and then figure out what you want to do. I mean, it's a huge world in DIA, a whole bunch of different stuff. So find something you're passionate about, really learn as much as you can, be the best at that, and then come save the world with us.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's great advice. Next, CSO Mo in Kuwait wants to know, how does the DIA keep up with the huge amount of U.S. bases around the world?
We don't run the base. We just do the intelligence on the foreign military presences in the area. So the actual military, whatever military organization is running that base, runs that base. We're tenants of that base like many other people. So not our job, luckily.
So I'm curious, did you work at the DIA when, you know, the internet wasn't really very big, and how was your job changed due to the internet?
Although I do look at it without my haircut, but that's my Corona haircut. Lack thereof. So yeah, I'm not that old. I was in the Army during the kind of when internet wasn't as prevalent, but by the time I got to DIA, it was a thing.
So the next question from Kelly is, what is the favorite part about this collaboration?
That's easy. So I'm really actually selfish. I mean, you guys say that I'm doing all these things for you, but you guys inspire me. I feel like more than I'm inspiring you guys. So it just, I love helping you guys out, talking to you, anything I can do, because you guys still have that like spark and that like drive. It's amazing. It's inspirational. So I do it because it gets me joy. So selfish.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, we really appreciate it. And so CSO Calvin from Arizona wants to know, how does the DIA help support America?
That's a large question. So defense, the word of the defense of the nation, if you will. Anytime our troops are going to go anywhere, we're that intel of saying what's going on there, briefing policymakers, all the way up the line of those policymakers. So example, if the next president's going to write a policy, it doesn't come most of the time directly from him. It comes all the way down this long list of advisors and undersecretaries and secretaries, and someone has an idea. So we're at every level educating each of those policymakers. Hey, maybe you don't want to do this, or you do want to do this. Here are some facts about this policy that you're thinking about and doing. So that's one huge thing.
Definitely, yeah. So CSO Josh would like to know, what is the difference between the DIA and the NSA?
Different letters. No, so there's INTs. You guys have heard of HUMINT, right? So that's the spies, CIAs are spies, right? NSA does all the cell phones and gadgets. We do what's called MASINT, which is all signals. Everyone has their own INT. So NSA is an all source, which means they look at all the big picture of intelligence. But we are the all source leader in all of the intelligence community, and we do all the military. So they're looking at a very specific kind of, looking at those signals, looking at that internet or whatever traffic with computers and stuff like that. And we're looking at that from them, but we're also looking at what the CIA is doing, and we're also getting our own stuff. So we're looking at it all. It's kind of the best answer. They're looking at a lot of very specific, so they're the best at that for sure, at looking at the computers and doing all that stuff. But so we steal their stuff, put our name on it, put it with everyone else's, and so we do.
Yeah, that's definitely really interesting to hear about. So since we're talking about these, the three-letter agencies, as a three-letter agency, do you have a favorite other three-letter agency to work with?
NGA, I would have to say NGA. They have a really nice new building. They're trying to be cutting edge with all their stuff. They have all the cool satellite pictures, and they do a lot of really cool things over there. They seem to be, I don't know, I've had the most fun working with them.
What does that stand for?
The National Geospatial Agency.
Oh, okay, awesome. So our next question is also from Kelly, and it is, when I shared my role, you were curious about what we were up to. How would you inspire other adults to meet CSOs?
How would I inspire them to, so that front door opening, that first thing?
Yeah.
That's the hard part, because once you do that, you're golden. I love them. I mean, it depends on who you're trying to target. Like, if someone has kids, there's a thing you can relate to with that. Like, hey, these kids doing this are super smart. You check this out. Like, your kids aren't as smart. Come do this. I don't know. I would have to know more about the target to be able to come up with a good target package for that attack. To use DIA lingo, if you will.
Okay, so let's see. Do we have any other questions?
To jump in here. So the cool part about this relationship, right? I tell the CSOs all the time, it's about who you know. And Lyle and I met in Afghanistan, and we were working together and supporting logistics around Afghanistan together. And 8 to 10 years later, no, I don't know when did we meet? 2013?
Yeah, 13.
12, 13, 14-ish, something like that. So I guess it's almost 8 years. The point is, to the CSOs, keep track of building those relationships, because you just never know when you're going to call on these people that you have built those relationships with for a cool opportunity. I reached out to Lyle and said, hey, I'm coming to DC. Can we have lunch? And then we spent he took me on a tour. He showed me around, what he was doing. And I said, oh my gosh, we should bring the CSOs to the DIA. And he said, all right, let's do it. Let's make it happen. which fits our slogan. And so literally we've been there twice. The first time, great experience, right? It was like an action plan. It wasn't perfect, and we left both thinking, what can we do next time? And Lyle was so excited to make it better the next time. And my goodness, Chalet, you got to go to both. What was the difference?
I can attest to that. The difference was crazy between the 2 years that we went, because it was definitely a really great time the first year that we went, and I learned a lot when we were able to go there. But the second year just was crazy. It was definitely, when we were all reflecting on how the summit had gone, everyone in attendance, basically everyone, said that it was their favorite event, because we just got to talk to so many cool people and see so many really cool things, and
I'm going to say Lyle's pretty cool, right? So Lyle is my friend, and I'm allowed to say that he's pretty cool. But he understood after, so it's kind of like action plan thinking, right? You think you want to do one thing. We went through it. I told him it was great. We got the students in. We didn't have enough time to get the international students through security, right? Because there's steps we had to take to make sure the students could pass security, because they hadn't had students on campus, on grounds at the DIA before. So we were jumping through hoops back and forth, Lyle and I. And then when we got there, it was great. But Lyle was inspired by the CSOs to say, oh, Kelly, I can do so much more next time. And we're going to get those Kuwait and Mexico students on grounds. And so then we got to meet the, deputy director, the chief of staff. We got to meet people who are really in defense of the United States doing big things. And they talked to the students, just like a lot of you are learning. These adults are inspired by you. And so Lyle improved his action plan. We all came back. We did little mini rotations instead of just show and tell. He really helped the different intelligence groups, right? Those Mazins and, Human, and all those different people have interactive booths, kind of like a STEM expo at the DIA. It was incredible, and they made a video about it. So
it was pretty good.
And yeah, just the fact that the people who we got to interact with, who were really high up at the DIA, they were asking for our opinions as students about what we had experienced that day. And it was just, a really powerful experience to have them, valuing our opinions, and to be some of the first students to get to be able to do that. So
the other thing was ask you to write the social media posts and tell the story about your visit. So they gave two different, so Lyle introduced us to the communications group for the DIA, and had the students look at two pictures and write the Instagram and social media posts, and then they used it. Powerful piece of validation that your voice really does matter.
So we got to see sorry to interrupt.
No, please go ahead.
We got to see the post that we had written and the picture of us on their official Instagram, which was really, really exciting.
Yeah, so when we were putting it together, I was having a meeting, and it was like, well, we want to tell them about our social media. I'm like, what are we going to tell them about social media? They know more than us. Why don't we have them do it? Let's come up with some way to have them come up with it, because you guys are on the cutting edge of that. Us old people aren't. That's a fact.
Yeah, we still use Facebook.
I don't, but I'd never really have. So
that's because you try to be super secret still.
Not as much. I can say where I work now.
Yeah. CSO Ari from Arizona, sorry if I mispronounced your name, said, what is the difference between the DIA and the CIA?
Those are different letters as well. So the easiest answer to that is the CIA is answering the president's questions, right? So they're looking at political, big picture questions, whereas ours is the military, the defense, looking at those, and falling under the Department of Defense, the Secretary of Defense's questions. So we do a lot of the same things, because if the president is asking the CIA, hey, go find this out, and the Secretary of Defense is asking us a question that sends in a different direction, we need to be able to have the same capabilities, and we can't just rely on the CIA. Hey, can you guys do this? Yeah, we're busy doing this, right? And this is getting a little too in the weeds, but they can do covert actions. We cannot do covert actions. That is another big difference. Everything else we can do, they can do. And a lot of the places, they're next door to us. We're just not on the TV and the movies, which is what I'm going to change in the relatively near future.
Yeah, definitely. I know that I think, the CIA is definitely a little bit more well-known, so it'd be awesome to have the DIA become a well-known agency as well.
So that's by design originally, because we didn't want people to know who we were. We were doing secret stuff. Well, we're good. We're not being talked about. But the whole world's shifted. That whole paradigm's changed, and we need to change with it. And I'm just bringing you guys in with the CSO. I mean, this was a whole new conversation the first time. Is, hey, how can we talk about what we're doing unclassified? So you guys helped me, again, selfish, right? So I took that same template and keep building on that, and we're doing a lot more unclass stuff. And I want to share this with you. It's really cool. So you guys have heard of the International Spy Museum. You guys went there last time.
Yes, we did.
So about 2 months after you guys came to do the last visit, that storyboard that we came up with that went through all those stations was turned into a comic book and given out at the International Spy Museum.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
wow.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. That's really, really cool, actually. I'm so glad that we could be a part of that. I really appreciate your participation today. But before we close the call, just one last question, which is, what advice would you give to us as young leaders for our future?
Just keep doing it. You guys are on the right path. Just stay on it. Keep listening to Kelly. Keep doing this stuff. This is awesome. This is the coolest program you guys will ever be in. Keep doing it.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And
so
stuff you guys are exposed to and the opportunities, I mean, it's unreal. You guys are going to be the presidents. You were running against each other.
So again, thank you, Lyle, for joining us today. We hope that you can participate in another call someday in the future and help us continue this Zoom In on Science series.
Absolutely,
so
man.
before we hop off, we're going to have everyone unmute.
And we definitely want to come back to the DIA every year for the CSO International Summit.
So I mentioned
Yes,
to my
absolutely.
boss today that I was going to do this. And she's like, oh, so talk to Kelly. Like, how are we going to do this year if we can't do it in person because we're locked down or whatever? I was like, well, I don't think that's what this is, but we'll talk.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it. No matter what, we're coming.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We will be in person. My goodness, we need to see these humans.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
It doesn't have the same.
Fingers crossed by October. Yeah. All right. So now that everyone is unmuted, we're going to go ahead and do our signature CSO slogan. CSOs don't just hope it happens.
Make it
happen.
Make it happen.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Lyle. It's great to see you
Hey,
get a
thanks for having
haircut.
me, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll have a haircut
Thank you.
before I got a brief next week.
I love it. We'll talk soon. Definitely
All right.
make some new plans.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
It was really great talking to you again.
You too.
Bye.